Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, we don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. I know we gon' elevate. Brother gonna rise, no hesitation. Put it on my time, been hella patient. Spitting these rhymes in hella basements. Play major stages, still pay fun. Ain't paid many wages, still I can't run. I'm a slave to the cadence, still ain't done. Everything to the patrons, till the day's won. Boy, I'm not finished, I know I got some critics. I know they're really cynics, but God, I got no limits. I want a house of Venice, even if I don't get it. Then I pray these lyrics, elevate your spirit. And if I don't live it, after years and minutes of avoiding gimmicks, I'm pouring out my heart. That I know my rhythms didn't reach the millions, but I praise my Lord that I could be a part. I ain't did this for no trophies, I ain't did this for no list. I did it for the kid who's contemplating taking place to rest in, man. I pray that you resist. Oh, you were made for more than this. You can make it through the storm, just turn to him and don't you quit. Boy, I'm all in. Check my wrist, you see the kid be saucing, no coughing. No, we don't die, we multiplying often. My God sends more of us, that power lasts like Austin, not lost in them accolades. My focus on the cross. We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate, elevate, elevate. Woo!
Lately I've been feeling kinda low, praying to the Father that I know, got me so that I can take your hand, so we can keep on praising, yeah I will. I might go and cut the deal, cut it, we gon' have to elevate. Knew the Father had me covered after I saw 7 straight. Pick myself up out the mud and I got straight back to the work. I ain't dancing with the devil, that mean I put heaven first. Got my brothers on my back, that mean I love the city first. Ain't no business about to come in on my soul. Ooh, I got self-control. Ooh, Saudi tried to ask you for that. Oh, I let it go. It's a sermon. Had to tell my youngest you don't need the serpent. If God said it, little homie, that's your purpose. You were born to be a bitch, you better learn it. You better go out there and
we don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate, elevate, elevate. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, we don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. I know we gon' elevate. Brother gonna rise, no hesitation. Put it on my time, been hella patient. Spitting these rhymes in hella basements. Play major stages, still pay fun. Ain't paid many wages, still I can't run. I'm a slave to the cadence, still ain't done. Everything to the patrons, till the day's won. Boy, I'm not finished, I know I got some critics. I know they're really cynics, but God, I got no limits. I want a house of Venice, even if I don't get it. Then I pray these lyrics, elevate your spirit. And if I don't live it, after years and minutes of avoiding gimmicks, I'm pouring out my heart. That I know my rhythms didn't reach the millions, but I praise my Lord that I could be a part. I ain't did this for no trophies, I ain't did this for no list. I did it for the kid who's contemplating taking place to rest in, man. I pray that you resist. Oh, you were made for more than this. You can make it through the storm, just turn to him and don't you quit. Boy, I'm all in. Check my wrist, you see the kid be saucing, no coughing. No, we don't die, we multiplying often. My God sends more of us, that power lasts like Austin, not lost in them accolades. My focus on the cross. We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hit me
I've been feeling kinda low. Praying to the Father that I know. Got me so that I can take your hand, so we can keep on praising, yeah I will. I might go and cut the deal. Cut it, we gon' have to elevate. Knew the Father had me covered after I saw 7 straight. Pick myself up out the mud and I got straight back to the work. I ain't dancing with the devil, that mean I put heaven first. Got my brothers on my back, that mean I love the city first. Ain't no business about to come in on my soul. Ooh, I got self-control. Ooh, Shorty tried to ask you for that, oh, I let it go. It's a sermon. Had to tell my youngest you don't need the serpent. If God said it, little homie, that's your purpose. You were born to be a bitch, you better learn it. You better go out there and
We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Known as we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot to witty when I spray. Body hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. We don't need your accolades, hopping over barricades. Known as we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot to witty when I spray. Body hit me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate, elevate.
Hello. Are we good? Are we Gucci? Are we Gucci? Are we good? I hope you guys are having an amazing day this day. I'm having a good day today. Hello. Hi. Can you guys see me? Making sure that I'm coming in live and loud and clear and you guys can hear every word that's coming out of my mouth right now. How are we all doing today? Are we doing good? What is this song? It's called Elevate by J.D. Crumb. It's like a gospel song. I'm not religious, but this song just makes me feel good. Hi, you're all good. Am I coming in loud to you guys? Because I can't even hear myself. Usually I'm able to hear myself just a little bit. And I'm struggling because I can't hear a single thing from me. Can you guys hear me? Great. Okay, good. Well, I am glad that you guys are here with me this evening for an impromptu stream. Obviously, I wasn't expecting to do a stream today because I was going to be making a video on today's events that have taken place. If you guys aren't aware, I feel like we need to do like a tiny little bit of lore before we get into everything. So there is Ethan Klein. Everybody knows who Ethan Klein is. And before we even start today's stream, let me just get 2 things out of the way. One, I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Everything it is that I'm talking about today will just be going over the article, looking at Ethan's reaction to said article, and just giving my thoughts, opinions, perspectives, and also maybe just like a tiny bit of research with you guys. Maybe you guys are a little bit more clued in than I am. So this is what today's video is going to be about. The second thing is, already, we know, I don't need to tell you, but I feel like I do, just in case there are any new members in the stream this evening. I don't like Ethan Klein. I don't like him. I don't think he's a good human. I think that he is incredibly egotistical, cocky, rude, mean, and I just don't like him as a person from what I've seen on social media. So with that being said, obviously today's takes and everything it is that I'm going to be saying today might not be positive in relation to like other people who might have a little bit more of an unbiased take. I just don't like the dude. So for that reason, if you are ready to get petty with me, if you are ready to like relax, chill out and whatever, this is the stream for it. So this evening, right, let me tell you how my evening went, first of all. So I heard about this story. This was brought to me by my research team. My research team have been doing absolutely amazingly. They brought this story to me, posted approximately at that time about 17 hours ago on the Trishy Land subreddit. Not the Trishy Land, the Frenemies 3 subreddit, where they were speaking about Ethan Klein and Ryan Kavanaugh and the fact that the motion for the anti-slap appeal had been completely null and voided. They just said the motion is dismissed. We're not allowing you to have that motion. We'll discuss what an anti-slap appeal is, as well as the slap laws, I guess, to a certain degree, especially when it pertains to California law. And we'll just be taking things just step by step. So what I will say is tonight's stream is not a stream where you have to like sit down and watch and have entire focus on me and on the screen and what is going on. Tonight's stream is more so a case of if you're doing something, if you're making dinner, if you are, doing some exercise, if you are folding laundry, do a little something whilst you're listening to this stream. You'll get all the info it is that you need from my voice. So with that being said, I hope you guys are having a good evening. What are we all talking about today? We got Ray Rain, who says anti-slap statute allows defendants to seek dismissal of a complaint at the beginning of a lawsuit before the expensive and time-consuming discovery process begins. That is very, very correct. We'll be getting into all of that shortly. So that's how I wanted my video to go. I was just going to be reading through the Tech Times article that was released. I think it was on January 30th, and just taking you guys through that. But then something happened. So I got a message from one of my researchers showing me this, that I lost my lawsuit off the rails. 59, Ethan Klein was going to be discussing the fact that his anti-slap appeal did not go through. And I was just like, oh, damn, because I was literally, the only reason I've got makeup on right now, I was literally in the beginning part of filming. I've got kids and all of that kind of stuff, so I had to make sure my kids were in bed and all of that kind of stuff before I even continued. So I was really, really annoyed by that. So then I was just like, instead of making a video, let's just stream, let's just have a conversation about it, and let's just see how things go. So with that being said, tonight's TDL Live will not be featuring my co-host. As you guys should know by now, Margot Indigo has decided to become a mainstay of TLDR. So she will be coming and hosting alongside with me on Fridays. And this Friday will be no exception. We will still be doing a TLDR this Friday. This is just a very impromptu stream with me. And we're going to be relaxing, chillaxing, and just talking about everything. So with that being said, let's start with the article. I feel like that's the first place that we should start. So there was an article that was put out by Tech Times, and it was wrote by an individual called David Thompson, and it was posted on the 30th of January 2023. Interestingly, this story only really broke within like the last hour or so on social media, I think via Nicholas DiOrio, but this story has been out there since the 30th of January. Now, as far as I've been able to search on social media, neither Ryan Kavanaugh or Ethan Klein had spoken about it prior to Nicholas DiOrio making his tweet. So it says, Ryan Kavanaugh wins slap motion. Ethan Klein loses with damages potentially in the millions. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start reading. So let's just start. Okay. And I'm like really nervous this evening. I'm just going to make that abundantly clear because I always get nervous whenever I stream on YouTube, but also I'm not the best reader. I am dyslexic. So I'm going to try my best this evening. Right. So it says, in the matter of Kavanaugh versus Klein, wherein Ryan Kavanaugh has sued Ethan Klein and H3H3 Productions, aka H3 Podcast, Klein's podcast company, and his affiliates for what could be many millions of dollars in damages. A key motion was ruled in favor of Kavanaugh in Los Angeles County Superior Court of California, with judges Helen Zukin and H.J. Ford, third presiding. Klein brought before the court what is referred to as an anti-slap motion, which in cases like these are usually granted. SLAP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. California has one of the strongest anti-slap stances, with over 90% of anti-slap motions granted, which means 10% or less are found in favor of the plaintiff, which would have been Kavanaugh in this case. According to the Reporters Committee of Freedom of the Press, in ruling on the motion to strike, a California court will first determine whether the defendant established that the lawsuit arose from one of the statutory defined protected speech or petition activities. And then it outlines one of the cases that this may have happened. So before we continue, essentially what I'm gathering from literally Google, Wikipedia, whatever it is that I can find, is that a slap motion basically protects the right to free speech. Because what can happen is that when you are going against a big company or an individual with a lot more money than you, they can silence any kind of critique that you make online or in publication or otherwise, purely by being able to hold you in a rigorous financial situation with the lawsuits that they can slap on. They can make it go as fast as they want. They can make the whole thing go as slow as they want. And obviously we all know that lawyers are paid by the hour. So this can be financially intimidating. It can be a way to bully individuals. So in a place like California, where there are a lot of individuals who are celebrities, people of notable influence, and people of interest and stuff like that, because they tend to have a lot of money, and there are also individuals who may not have as much money as well, they tend to have anti-slap laws that allow people to basically say, hey, I don't want this proceeding to continue in the manner of which that it's continuing in, because if it does, that means it could be financially an issue for me. So it basically protects the underdog. That's what the anti-slap clause is that Ethan Klein essentially wanted to bring forward. And that is essentially what has been denied. So it continues. In making this determination, the court will consider the plaintiff's complaint, the slap, defendant's motion to strike, and any sworn statements containing facts on which the assertions of these documents are based. The burden on the party, in this case Kavanaugh, is to prove that the defendant, in this case Klein and his affiliates, knowingly spread false and damning information with intent to harm. This is a very high bar to meet. So when it comes to defamation cases and things like that, essentially what this article is saying, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just taking this very much on face value. Essentially what this article is saying, that when it comes to the anti-slap motion, if that is allowed, then that means that the burden of proof then goes back on the defendant rather than the prosecutor. No, it goes back on the prosecutor rather than the defendant. So the defendant then has to, in turn, turn around and prove beyond reasonable doubt that they actually have a case. So basically, this is the before moment. In terms of UK law, because I've dealt with this personally, dealing with other companies that have tried or attempted to sue me, this essentially is the pre-action protocol area where they will outline whether they think they have a case, etc., and then a decision is made before it actually goes to court. So this is what this moment is. Hold on, what have we got? He is now calling the judge old and crusty, but we'll get to that later. Girl, we will get to that later. We will definitely get to that later. So it continues. It says, this ruling is significant in that it has this ruling is significant that it has almost the same effect as a complete ruling. Now, whilst I understand what it is that the person who wrote this, the journalist who wrote this, is trying to say, this is objectively false. It is not the same as a complete ruling, but it does show that Ryan Kavanaugh, when it comes to the defamation, libel, and slander case, does actually have a case. They have to rule that he has plausible enough reason to be able to continue forward with the case as it is. A ruling that KLEIN did in fact knowingly spread false and misleading statements with an intent to damage or harm Kavanaugh. The ramifications of KLEIN's actions were amplified by the fact that KLEIN published the damning statements to his large following on YouTube and other social media platforms. He published full statements to millions of people through his followers and extended network. He then encouraged those people to spread false and misleading statements about Kavanaugh further by reposting and republishing on social accounts, blogs, podcasts, etc. Under tort law, each and every time it was republished or restated, further damages were incurred, leading to potentially one of the most massive defamation damages cases. So essentially what they're saying here is that every single time that Ethan KLEIN continued on with what they deem as quote unquote defamation, that every time he spoke about it, every time he republished it, every time he amplified voices that weren't telling the truth, essentially he is basically getting more and more damages put on top of what is already a very damaging case, right? So then after that, they say, this could possibly become one of the most landmark cases of its type since Hulk Hogan's case in 2016 against Gawker, where Hulk Hogan was awarded $140 million in damages. Now, I'm not quite sure where they've plucked that number out of, but a little bit later in this article, they go on to talk about the fact that there are reasons why it could be one of the biggest damages cases in terms of what we've seen so far in terms of like damage cases like the Hulk Hogan case, because a lot of companies, I guess, are choosing not to work with Kavanaugh due to the things that have been posted on the internet. And because of that, that has damaged his reputation and in turn his money. So it goes on to say, and I'm trying my best here, guys. Again, I'm not a fucking lawyer. It says, individuals with highly vocal followings can be overwhelming and extremely damaging to personal and business reputations. Oftentimes, attempts to stop or reason with these groups only further emboldens and excites them, leading to further attacks. Emboldened groups looking for approval from their leader can be steered in a negative direction, leading to a plague of internet trolling, destroying businesses and lives. Unfortunately, as Ryan Kavanaugh is a business person, one of the factors large institutions, banks and companies access what is called a reputational risk when deciding on whether to do business with the party or not. When harmful and untrue information, such as in this case, is published and disseminated, it will usually trigger the reputational risk such that by doing business becomes much harder, if not impossible. Then we're going to go into like a mini background on Kavanaugh, but I'm just going to read it anyway, just so we're clear and concise. So it says, Kavanaugh, whom brokered over 20 billion of deals with some of the largest banks of Wall Street and some of the largest entertainment transactions, could suffer extremely significant damages caused by KLEIN's actions. Certain laws exist to offer parties damaged by this kind of language a method of stopping the attacks and stopping the spread of false and hateful language online. You can also read in his own words why Kavanaugh sued Ethan KLEIN here from an op-ed that he wrote in CSQ that we were able to find online. By this point, everybody's read that article. He just gets really personal when it comes to Ethan KLEIN. I don't think there's anything notable to put out there, so I'm not going to be reading that article, right? But it's there if you guys want to take a look at it. So it goes on to say, notably for this lawsuit, the judges found in the final ruling that plaintiff, Kavanaugh, has met his evidentiary burden to show facts sufficient to sustain a favorable judgment on his claims. So this is what the legal notice actually said. So they believe that based on what Ryan Kavanaugh has brought forward, that not only does he have a case, but he could potentially win. Furthermore, in the court finds a reasonable trier of fact. I don't even know what that means. A reasonable trier of fact could determine that KLEIN's statements were statement of fact, not opinion. This alone precludes the court from finding that KLEIN's statements were non-actionable statements of opinion based on fully disclosed accurate facts. Moreover, KLEIN's presentation of the factual basis of his statements were both incorrect and incomplete. Okay, so that's basically the basis of what has happened, right? And before we get into the next section, I do want to ask you guys some questions. So, my first question is, when it comes to Ryan Kavanaugh, right? And I'm asking you all this as an audience, and I want your participation with this. When it comes to Ryan Kavanaugh, is all of the negative things that you have heard of Ryan Kavanaugh been within proximity to Ethan Klein? Put a 1 in the chat if it is, and put a 2 in the chat if it isn't, because I'm quite interested to know. Because automatically, from what it is that I've heard of Ryan Kavanaugh for myself personally, anything bad it is that I've heard from him has always been in proximity to Ethan Klein. Prior to that, I don't really know much about the guy. So I just want to ask you guys what it is that you think. So put a 1 in the chat if the bad things it is that you've heard about Ryan Kavanaugh has been in proximity to Ethan Klein, and a 2 in the chat if you already knew that this guy was like, you know, weird or whatever, in your opinion. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we're getting a lot of 1s in the chat. Should we do a poll? Girl, I can't do a poll live. I struggle, and plus I got nails. I can't type. So we're going to do the 1s and 2s tonight. Okay, so the majority of you guys, from what I can tell, Kenneth said, what is his company? He owns the company. Well, he's an investor, I guess, and has like a portion of revenue from Triller. Triller's the company it is that essentially Ethan Klein was going back and forth with in terms of copyright and piracy, and that was the case it is that Ethan Klein won, if I'm not mistaken. Is his company known though? Yes, his company is very well known. People know who Triller is. In terms of like their app, they tried, I guess, to contend with TikTok, but it didn't really work very well for them. So the majority of people in chat have only really heard negative things about Ryan Kavanaugh when it comes in proximity to Ethan Klein. So at this point, before we start speaking about the other notable findings of this case, the other question is that I want to ask you guys is, when it comes to this case, do you think, and we're talking specifically and only about the defamation, libel, slander case it is that is being put forward, the case that is being contested and disputed by this anti-slap notice. Do you guys think, right, that when it comes to this case that Ryan Kavanaugh may have a point? Do you think he has a case? From your unprofessional legal opinion. So a 1 in the chat if you think he does have a case, and a 2 in the chat if you don't. And we'll wait for you guys to finish that. Laugh my ass off. Pancake Guys is in the chat. Oh, Salvo Pancakes is here. Hi, dude. How you doing? Goodness gracious me. Okay, Rain says yes. We got some 1.5s. We can do a 1.5 if you're unsure, that's fine. We got a lot of 1s though so far. Goodness gracious, only a couple of 2s. At first, no, but Ethan keeps pushing it further and further. Katie Lady, we're going to get into that, babes. You know I got you. We're going to get into that. Coda says, yes, I'm not a fan of Ethan, so it wouldn't affect me, but I bet his fans would steer away from Triller things because of Ethan. Probably, but I mean, that's neither here nor there when it comes to like Ethan's fans. It's about the effect it has on somebody's reputation and business. And I feel like that's the one thing that I feel that Ethan Klein has kind of, in my opinion, perpetrated, is that he has gone above and beyond to do things to basically do reputational harm to somebody. And then we have to qualify whether it was done with malicious intent. And I feel like there is enough evidence, for me at least, and I'll be showing you guys like a video a little bit later that kind of proves my point. But I feel like there's enough information, for me at least, to say that yes, there was definitely malicious intent behind the reputational damage it is that Ethan Klein did to Ryan Kavanaugh. Because in tonight's stream, and as you guys know, I pushed back the stream by 30 minutes because Ethan Klein went live and I wanted to hear what it is that he had to say. And when I went over to the stream and I was listening to it, he was basically like brushing it off, saying it wasn't a big deal and all of this kind of stuff. And basically skimmed the article without reading any of like the important bits, which would probably make his own audience, anybody who has a level of discernment, to think to themselves, well, hold on, he kind of has a point there. So that's why I'm kind of making the objective of this evening of making sure that we read through the article in its entirety. Okay, so the majority of people at this very moment are saying that he has a case. Some people are saying he has a case, but a weak one. Other people are saying, I can't stand Ryan Kavanaugh, but most definitely he has a case. So we have a lot of people who think that he has a case when it comes to the defamation, libel, and slander, which is interesting because obviously when it comes to defamation, libel, and slander, it's the court of public opinion. And if public opinion, and obviously this is a small percentage, there's only like 300 and odd of us in here today, right? But in the court of public opinion, a lot of people think that, you know, the dude might have a point. So let's continue on with the article before we get into all the other bits. So it says other notable findings in the court's final ruling include, here's a direct quote. It says, Kavanaugh presents prima facie evidence, I have no idea what that means, of actual malice, and Klein fails to establish the absence of actual malice as a matter of law. General damages are presumed. Defendant fails to establish that, I guess, a clause of some kind like CC4T7D applies to bar plaintiff's action as a matter of law. As such, defendant fails to defeat the plaintiff's prima facie showing of defamation on the second step of SLAP. So I guess there's like numerous steps, that like qualifications that you need to adhere to in order to have an anti-SLAP granted, and he didn't meet the second one. So I guess that was probably one of the reasons for this ruling as well. So it says, in the underlying case, Ryan Kavanaugh sued Ethan Klein for defamation and intentional harm after Klein used his following to spread multiple statements of false information. In such cases, for each and every time the statement was heard or read by one of Klein's followers, possible additional damages occur. This also applies to each time the statement was republished by a follower or reader of Klein's. So this isn't just as many times as it's been republished by Ethan Klein or his team. This is every single time it gets republished by anybody at all. This is crazy. In this case, Klein appears to have instructed and encouraged his followers to intentionally harm Kavanaugh, utilizing social platforms that have broad reach such as YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. Another strategy related to these types of attacks is to get negative content to appear at the top of Google searches for the person's business name. It appears that Klein used this tactic as he has been able to get a very negative website he admits to have to have created to rank very high on Google searches. This website, which is filled with the same statements at the heart of this case, consistently appears in the second position of searches when you search Ryan Kavanaugh's name. KLEIN even has this site listed as his own personal site on his Instagram profile, which has 2 million followers. We are in possession of a Discord and other messages where KLEIN has specifically instructed and encouraged his users to defame Kavanaugh and to bring the most negative to the top of Google, as well as Twitter and others. So I decided to do a little bit of digging because I was just kind of like, has he been like promoting a website that he created to get to the top of SEO? I know he created a website, but I thought it was, jovial, in jest, as a joke, and it probably still is. But obviously, as he's going through all of the other litigation it is that he's been going through with Ryan Kavanaugh and succeeding, obviously, because, Ryan Kavanaugh at this moment in time, I think owes him like $61,000 in his legal fees and all of that kind of stuff. I was wondering, was this something that took place? So I did. I had a look. And there is this video. Let me see if I can find it. It's this one here. It's called Ryan Kavanaugh is a Big Fat Loser. So let's take a look at what it is that Ethan Klein has to say in the H3 podcast highlights.
Triller Miami. Triller, my man, my boy. So anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm just buttering you guys up. Ryan wrote an op-ed on Yahoo Finance. Ryan Kavanaugh, Wikipedia has become anti-democratic. What's next? You're going to buy 10% of that, loser? Yeah, you wish. You're broke, though. By Ryan Kavanaugh. Man, can you use a new photo? Shit, bro. When was this photo taken? Before we read this, let me just do a SEO check. Ryan Kavanaugh. Number 2. Okay, good.
It's holding good.
Click that. Spend some time. Is there anything new on the website, love?
No, just the old classic.
Good stuff. Yeah, spend some time around here. Click around. Open it.
Yeah, if you have a website.
What's this?
Ryan Kavanaugh is a force of nature.
Right.
Oh, wow.
What were you saying, love?
I was just saying if you happen to have a website laying around, throw a link on there to our website.
Yeah, so that your audience can learn about.
Purely so the audience can find that website.
Yeah.
Write a little bit about our website. All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
So obviously from this clip, as we can see, Ethan Klein not only instructs his audience to go and take a look at this website, has a look at how the website is doing in the SEO, as well as telling people to repost and republish this website on numerous occasions. This website is also a part of the defamation, slander and libel case that Ryan Kavanaugh has put forward to Ethan Klein. So when this was put into the article, I was kind of like, actually, he may have a point here. So what are you guys saying in the chat? But what is the whole point of doing this, though? In terms of reading this article in full, or are you talking about, what is the point of Ethan Klein making that website? Elaborate. This man is the worst. He is everything anyone could want, and he makes a website like this. Girl, this is why we don't stan. At least I don't. That's all I have to say. So let's take a look at the rest of this article. Hopefully this should be towards the end of it because I'm getting bored already. So it says, Kavanaugh also claims that Klein influenced others to alter Kavanaugh's Wikipedia page. I don't know, when it comes to the Wikipedia page stuff, I don't think that Kavanaugh has much of a case here, because Wikipedia can literally be altered by anyone, and I feel like he's putting 2 and 2 together and getting potatoes. So I don't know whether he has a case here, but this is what Kavanaugh thinks. To alter Kavanaugh's Wikipedia page, it appears to have been rewritten by individuals likely paid directly or indirectly by Klein. Quoting Klein in a missive to his followers: make Kavanaugh's Wikipedia read as bad as possible. So I guess that's what Ethan Klein said. Klein succeeded in his goal to have Kavanaugh's Wikipedia page filled with false, erroneous information. Then it continues. Klein evidently has 2 or more Wikipedia editors that he likely pays to make edits to Kavanaugh's and other Wikipedia pages, who go by the name of Throst and Popoki35. Can be seen from a simple wiki search, history search. These individuals spend 90% of their time destroying Klein's enemy de jour's Wikipedia page / profiles while making positive changes to Klein and H3 profile pages. You can view their activity logs on Wikipedia and clearly see that the majority of their activity over the past year has been spent making defamatory edits to Kavanaugh's Wikipedia page whilst propping up H3 and the Kleins. So I don't know whether there is any merit to this. For me, I feel like this is somewhat of a weak case because it just could be somebody who's like an Ethan Klein fan and hates Ryan Kavanaugh by proxy. To put out the idea that these people are paid is, for me personally, somewhat speculatory. And whilst I don't like Ethan Klein, I'm not just going to put out like speculatory information out there as fact. So I don't know if there's much merit to this part of the article, but we will continue. Yeah, guys, if you could like the stream, I'd really appreciate it as well. So it says, no doubt Klein has profited at the expense of Kavanaugh's reputation, although Klein and H3 frequently lose their sponsors due to this hate speech, videos, and racist comments. He made Kavanaugh a topic of over 10 of his podcasts on YouTube and in many posts across social networks. Klein makes money from advertising and sponsorship dollars and has sold t-shirts with Kavanaugh's likeness and name. He did in fact do that. Klein also sells merchandise with the username of one of the individuals that he pays to destroy Kavanaugh's Wikipedia, Throst, who he refers to as one of his foot soldiers. Whenever Klein wants to attack, harm, or defame someone, he calls upon his foot soldiers and provides them with instructions on what to do. It seems defaming Kavanaugh has been very profitable for Klein. Is this the last section? Yes, it is. Thank God for that. Okay, so when it comes, let's just bring it back to the audience and have you guys be involved. When it comes to this section where we're talking about Ethan Klein going out of his way to destroy the reputation of Ryan Kavanaugh, regardless of your thoughts of Ryan Kavanaugh, regardless of whether you think he's deserving of this, do you think that Ethan Klein has gone above and beyond what most people would do or say to destroy a person's public reputation? Put a 1 in the chat if you think he did, and put a 2 in the chat if you think he didn't. I can't even remember why this started. This all started from a whole situation that took place with Triller. So essentially there was like a Jake Paul fight that was like on Triller, and it was a pay-per-view. And I think the pay-per-view was like $49.99. Now, a lot of people pirated the pay-per-view, but Ethan Klein not only showed a section of the fight, which was a pay-per-view fight that was happening at that present moment, but also he distributed it by showing it to his millions and millions of followers. So that's how it all started. So then there was like a legal fight with piracy and copyright infringement, etc., that took place between Ryan Kavanaugh and Ethan Klein. I do believe that Ethan Klein did end up winning this case, but in the meantime, so whilst this case was ongoing, Ethan Klein was doing all of what has been discussed thus far. He was making websites to do with Kavanaugh. He was allegedly instructing his audience to, boost SEO and to, post things on the Triller, Apple App Store so you can leave reviews. He was telling people that they should go and leave reviews and all of this kind of stuff. So all of this was taking place whilst that was ongoing. So for me, this is like particularly interesting because he could have just taken that W of winning that case of like, what do you call it? Copyright infringement and piracy. He could have just taken that case and just kept it pushing. He could have just taken that win, taken that W and kept it pushing. But because he's like a person that I think personally is like very ego driven, I think he just kept going. And that's what makes him like a problem. And this is the problem with Ethan Klein. When he drives home at something, he just continues to go and go and go. And it just gets to this weird, disrespectful place. So we have, oh God, like ones everywhere in the chat. Goodness gracious. Wow, not a single two. Not a single two, bitch. Goodness gracious. Okay, so let's continue. Ethan Klein and H3 have made a fortune from bullying, harassing, and attempting to ruin people's lives. Thanks to Kavanaugh, perhaps Klein's day of maligning people may be over. As stated in court documents from this case, Klein has used and continues to use his celebrity status and social media influence to propagate highly damaging accusations about Mr. Kavanaugh, which Klein knew to be false, to fuel his personal vendetta against Mr. Kavanaugh and his own financial gain. Again, that was a part of the court documents. Klein, who is presumed to make millions per year, even went as far as to create a GoFundMe page to fund his legal bills against Kavanaugh, raising money for... Did he do that, really? Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember that at all? Did he really do like a GoFundMe for this? I'm shook. I'm actually shook. Did he really do like a GoFundMe for this? Oh my God. Raising money from his followers and the general public. This is despite his significant financial resources, which include at least 2 multi-million-dollar houses in Los Angeles, among other assets. This case will likely be influenced by Klein's long list of past actions, which includes multiple racist, anti-Semitic, anti-gay, xenophobic statements and behavior. Klein has been given 2 strikes from YouTube where he was not allowed to post for a limited period of time. I was surprised to learn that YouTube has allowed Klein and his H3 channel to continue and not be permanently banned, especially given his clear bigotry and violent statements. Oh my goodness. Not least of which includes frequent uses of the words N-word and the F-slur on YouTube and other media outlets. His channel is still up and profiting, whereas most other channels and users would be shut down for such actions and statements. That much I can most definitely agree with. Girl, I used to be a fan of Ethan and H3, but this behavior lately has been really all over the place. He harps about his opinions and his empathy, but he really declined. It's unfortunate. Goodness gracious. I think there's a lot of people who are like slowly waking up to the kind of person it is that Ethan is. And I just want to be there when like the whole fucking house of cards falls down and I can sit there and say, what did I say? I told you. And what did I say? The same thing I've been saying every day. So it says, in Klein's own words, bragging about how he can say whatever he wants with no consequence. YouTube can't cancel me. I just love how the words roll off your tongue. N-word, F-slur. Goodness gracious. Kavanaugh's damages are expected to be in millions to tens of millions, given the depth and exposure of the statements made against Kavanaugh, the legions of people whom broadcast it to, and the significant amount of reposting. What will hurt Klein is in this case is how well documented, keyword, all of his statements against Kavanaugh are. There are copies of Klein's tweets, podcasts, videos, and all and missives. I don't know what that is. Missives all over Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, and more. I am certain Kavanaugh's legal team in is in possession of all of these and will use them against him in court. One of the more damning actions taken by KLEIN was openly and publicly encouraging his followers to destroy Kavanaugh's reputation via his social media presence for over a year. Evidence suggests that Ethan KLEIN could be found guilty of defamation, libel, and slander after maliciously attacking Ryan Kavanaugh. The evidence for the defamatory acts of KLEIN and his followers was abundantly clear. 1. Ethan KLEIN destroyed Ryan Kavanaugh's Wikipedia with false information. I don't know about that one. 2. Ethan KLEIN published defamatory negative websites full of false information. 3. Ethan KLEIN published multiple podcasts and YouTube videos with false information. 4. Ethan KLEIN encouraged his followers to post negative comments on videos or articles for Ryan Kavanaugh or his business ventures. Kavanaugh is definitely not the only person who takes issue with KLEIN and his actions. In fact, there are more than one website dedicated to informing the world that Ethan KLEIN's malicious actions and blaming Ethan KLEIN for homophobic and racist speech on social media platforms. See also thebanofethanklein.com. Though it appears to be outdated. Ryan Kavanaugh's slap lawsuit deals only with defamation and hate speech directed towards Ryan Kavanaugh and his businesses, but does not address the woes of anyone else. At least, though, this is one case where Ethan KLEIN will be held accountable for his content and his mobilization of his followers. I would be surprised if the followers didn't follow suit in the most literal sense. Perhaps it's time that Google / YouTube, Reddit and Instagram and others finally banned the hate-filled, damaging accounts created and managed by Ethan KLEIN. It's quite clear that Ethan KLEIN's violation of the terms of service for these platforms by posting harmful, negative and damaging statements and hate speech towards individuals and minority groups. So, that was what was in the entire Tech Times article. Again, the reason it is that I decided to speak about this and to go in full is because I was expecting when Ethan KLEIN would give his response that he would be reading through it thoroughly, giving excerpts, especially since he had noted at the beginning of the stream that he didn't look at it at all. So I thought that like he'd be looking at it intently. If there was an article written by me and I came on a live stream with you guys and I'm like chilling here and we're having a conversation and I know about this article and I'm reading it, I'm going to be reading it intently as it pertains to me. But it's very telling to me that Ethan KLEIN did a lot of skimming. So with that being said, we all know what is taking place with Ethan KLEIN and the whole Ryan Kavanaugh situation. So let's go back and see what it is that Ethan KLEIN had to say about the article.
You'll get the benefits.
Hold on, he talks about Teddy Fresh for a minute. Let's scroll past. Here we go.
A Variety article.
Right.
Now, we filed an anti-slap, which is basically means that you can't. When you are suing somebody for defaming a public figure, California has this mechanism called the
I just want to say thank you, ElopeMan94. They said L3 needs to lose an ego check, if you will. We'll get into one of my conspiracy theories in a moment as well. But before we get into it, let's just take a look at this section.
Anti-slap, which is to prevent people from suppressing free speech who are, have the money and tools to litigate you into the ground. It's a great thing. We use it a lot because of the nature of how we get sued for shit and what I do. This time it was denied by the judge. The judge is a crusty old fuck with peace and love.
Dude, how after your anti-slap motion was completely dismissed, do you then go onto your platform in front of thousands of people at this point, 30,000 people last time I checked, and say that the judge who made this ruling is a crusty fuck? Do you think that that's going to help you? Like, am I losing my mind? This is the problem with like Ethan Klein. When he has a vendetta, he just keeps going and going and going and going. It's just crazy to me. And the fact that like the YouTube community at large just continues to allow him to keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again. When he has an axe to grind, he just keeps going. He called a judge a crusty old fuck. Really? Like, have some fucking respect.
He has, of all the anti-slaps, only ever admitted one in his whole career. The average in California is 90% success.
Whoa.
This crusty old fuck just has never granted an anti-slap only one time in his whole career.
Huh.
And so, but here's the thing. The loss on the anti-slap motion doesn't mean anything because I'll tell you this. It just means it goes back to...
The interesting thing about Ethan Klein is that he's somewhat transparent, and this is like literally down to his tics as well. Because as you guys know, Ethan Klein has, I guess, like a mild version of Tourette's, and it causes like numerous different tics and stuff that he, you know, showcases. And obviously, as we're watching this, and again, we are watching at 1.25 speed, right? But as we are watching this, you can see that like Ethan Klein, his body, his demeanor, and his tics are really reacting to this article, which I think is also very telling. So he's trying to like brush it off as if it's nothing, but his body is telling a completely different story.
To the beginning.
Right.
But this is like just, you're trying to get it dismissed on face. Or you're trying to get dismissed on just like, this is bullshit. Like the Matt Haas one, we never went the anti-slap, and we fought that bitch all the way through. So it's sending it back to that. But even before that, we're going to appeal this. We've already filed the paperwork to a higher court.
To appeal the anti-slap?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's not even over.
No.
You could still win this anti-slap.
I think that we have like an extremely high chance of winning the anti-slap because that judge is a crusty old fuck, as I've noted.
This is very confusing to me because I read this article, and apparently you've lost and you owe Ryan Kavanaugh several $1 billion. Good.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's not what the article was saying. The article wasn't saying that he lost. The article was saying that it was very telling that in the motion to dismiss, that they basically said not only did Ryan Kavanaugh have a case, but they actually think that he could prevail in this case, which is not usually said in anti-slap motions. You know what I mean?
That's what it sounds like.
$1 gajillion.
That's what it sounds like.
Huh.
You're a loser.
Yeah.
But do I believe you, or do I believe very real person David Thomas?
David Thomas.
Illustrious author of Tech Times, the prestigious Tech Times.
Actually, I haven't read this yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so what happens when we appeals, it goes to a higher court, the Court of Appeals, which is like a big deal, right? If he loses on this stage, it's going to be much worse for him. It's a much...
Sakura says, did I miss that part of the article? I believe you did. Hold on. Let me bring the article back up because there was a section where they spoke about what was brought forward. Here we are. Kavanaugh presents prima facie evidence of actual malice, and Klein fails to establish the absence of actual malice as a matter of law. General damages are presumed. Defendant fails to establish that CC47D applies to bar plaintiff's action as a matter of law. As such, defendant fails to defeat the prima facie showing of defamation on the second step of SLAP. So that's what I'm referring to there. Okay. Is this the one? No. This one. Here we go.
Bigger deal in terms of legal precedent.
Interesting.
And it goes before 3 judges. And these judges are going to know the rules on the law around anti-slap. This judge did not. And this is going to be, in my opinion, an easy dub on appeal, and it's going to actually be even worse.
But here's the thing, though. Like, he's saying that the judge doesn't know the rules of anti-slap, but he failed on the second part of the slap motion. He has to pass all of the mandatory elements, and he didn't even pass that. So it's not a case of the judge, overruled it and just said, motion dismissed because that's how they felt or that's what they thought. It was down to a matter of fact, which is what the judicial system's there for, to define things without bias.
For Kev in that case. So it's far from over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Angry.
He should be scared that this is getting tossed up to a higher court.
One step closer to a televised trial.
still pulling for
that's
that.
like a jury trial. That ain't happening.
That would be a dream.
I want you on the stand. I want you on the stand in shorts and slides.
Yeah,
in the same room as Ryan Kavanaugh.
Drop dead.
That, well, the appeal's
You
not
turn to
even
the
going to
jury
be.
and you're like, dude, Harvey Weinstein, right? Am I right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll represent myself. Ladies and gentlemen of the courtroom, here's a picture of Harvey Weinstein. Oh wait, sorry, Ryan Kavanaugh.
Oh wait, this is Ryan Kavanaugh.
Oh shit.
Ryan Kavanaugh is a force of nature.
Sure is.
Here's the thing. Again, like we said, the burden of proof goes to Ryan Kavanaugh to prove that Ethan Klein has acted or could be seen to have been acting in malice. And because they were able to show that beyond a reasonable doubt to the judge, that is why the motion was dismissed. Like, it really just simply comes down to the facts of the situation. And it's so telling to me. We're going to see in a moment how he just skims through everything. I'm going to put this on 1.5 speed because it's going a little too slow for me.
Yeah, but actually, so the appeal isn't even going to be heard for like a year to a year and a half. So the timeline on this shit is like moving at a snail speed, which is why I didn't even talk about it. It's not really a big deal. I'm not worried at all. I mean, as far as now, the only one who owes money is Ryan Kavanaugh. Owes me like over $60,000. And that one is done. They didn't even appeal it. They knew it was such a fucking loss and L.
Get fucked.
So, yeah, so let's read the article. Let's see what this this think piece. Ryan Kavanaugh wins slap motion. Ethan Klein loses with damages potentially in the millions. Yeah, the slap doesn't say anything about damages. It's just about if it can get thrown out. On
That's what, like, the second I saw this article, because it got posted on the subreddit or something, just from the headline alone, I was like, what is this? Because, like, that's not what that means at all. And then as you read on, it becomes very clear what's going on here.
Let's see. In the matter of Kavanaugh versus Klein, wherein, why are you writing that? Why are you writing like that, bro? Wherein Ryan Kavanaugh has sued.
Can I just say, what I will admit throughout watching this and reading the lawsuit in full with you guys this evening is that the person who wrote this article clearly has a stance of believing Ryan Kavanaugh over Ethan Klein. This definitely, what I will say, is not an unbiased think piece.
Ethan Klein and he's like doing keyword stuffing.
Yeah, yeah.
Why does it lie? Yes, why does it lie? And his affiliates, what affiliates? What are you even talking about? Or what could be many millions of dollars?
Oh, could
many. A key motion was ruled in favor of Kavanaugh in LA Superior Court. Klein brought before the court what is referred to as anti-slap motion. In cases like these are usually granted. That's my point, right? SLAP stands for strategic lawsuit against public participation. California has one of the strongest anti-SLAP stances with over 90% being granted.
Will Smith
and again,
the shit out of it.
This crusty old fuck has only granted one in his whole career, whereas the average is 90% success. So you do the math on that.
Yep.
But again, I'm not worried at all. What are my affiliates? Right? Does Ryan Kavanaugh look like Harvey Weinstein?
No, Throst and...
Oh, no way! They mentioned my affiliates?
Yes, they do.
Klein evidently has 2 or more Wikipedia editors. If this is journalism, this has to be some level of libel. Evidently? What's the evidence?
The evidence is that they were mean to Ryan Kavanaugh on Wikipedia.
Here's half the problem, because I see a lot of people saying that, like, he's surrounded by yes men and all this kind of stuff, right? Here's the problem with his team, because whenever they go against anything that Ethan Klein says, he seems to, like, reprimand them live on stream, which makes them, I guess, from what I can see from my perspective, like somewhat nervous to even like say anything against Ethan Klein, because in their head, they're just thinking to themselves, like, if I do, I'm going to be reprimanded live. So I can understand why they are all yes men, like from everybody else's perspective, but it just, they aren't helping him. They're just emboldening him like more and more and more. He thinks he's untouchable. He really, truly does. I can't wait to tell you guys my conspiracy. Hold tight for the conspiracy a little bit later.
No, but like, must be connected to. This is why I was saying it's very obvious that Ryan basically wrote this article, because who's in the weeds like that about Throst?
He's the only one besides our audience.
Yeah.
And Pokey 35, we don't even ever talk about.
Right. That's like real deep cut.
They also say that they both spend 90% of their time destroying Ryan's Wikipedia article. Who has 90% of their time to be on Wikipedia? You know what I mean?
As can seen from a simple wiki history search, these individuals spend 90% of their time. Dude, that is such an insane statement. Destroying Klein's enemy de jours, Wikipedia page profiles. Oh, so actively destroying all enemies of the show while making positive changes to Klein and H3's profile. I'll say this, the only enemies pages I have destroyed was on WikiFeed. And I'm not hiding from the truth.
Yeah, very open about that.
Okay, Ray Rain came in with the insider tea. She says the article written, I think, about a week ago. It was just posted in Reddit, so his community has seen it, and they were censoring it on the H3 Reddit, so he had to address it. So I guess that's the reason why Ethan Klein came out with it today. Interesting.
H3 equals free law school from David Whispers. That's right. You're all ready to represent your friends and family in court. You can view their activity logs on Wikipedia and clearly see that a majority of their activity over the past year has been spent on making defamatory edits to Kavanaugh's Wikipedia page and propping up H3 and the Kleins. Dude, he's demented. I love still always going back to how when this all started, Ryan Kavanaugh was like, "Your toy podcast, and you better be careful because you're messing with real things, little boy." And now he's just like obsessed with roast.
He's like in so deep.
Yeah. Like I don't even think about him. I haven't thought about Kav in like months.
Right, yeah.
And he's obsessed with the roast, messaging people on a Shrek forum, talking about, "I finally found you."
Oh
shit,
God!
dude.
Whenever this is finally over in like another year or two, like we have to like.
But regardless of your thoughts of like Ryan Kavanaugh, I'm looking at this like from a different perspective. Imagine, right, you are just a person in business doing your thing, right? I'm not saying that Ryan Kavanaugh is entirely innocent because I'm sure he's done some stuff too, right? Nobody does things and makes billions without fucking over a couple of people. That's just how I feel, right? So imagine you're just like a person in business, and then there's this one YouTuber with a massive platform who is not only like making videos about you, taunting you, posting negative articles about you, creating websites about you, mobilizing their audience with you. Like I can understand like to a certain degree where the obsession comes from, because now you're obsessed with getting your story out there, telling what you feel to be right, what you think is your truth. So I also understand like where Ryan Kavanaugh is coming from. Like if he, sits down and thinks about the fact that like, these two people have been altering my Wikipedia page, it has become obsessive. The reason that it's become obsessive is because of how insistent fucking Ethan Klein has been. That's like literally part of it.
Spend a whole episode just doing like kind of a summation of the whole saga, because there's so many funny details like that I forgot. The Shrek thing is so good.
Shrek forum.
The
I
Shrek
finally
forum.
found you. Again, all speculation, of course, but who else is looking for the roast on a Shrek forum?
Too much wine, sorry.
Let's see. According to Reporters Committee for Freedom of Press, in ruling on the motion to strike... Okay, so you're giving me legal lessons now? The ruling is significant in that it has almost the same effect as a complete case ruling. You idiot. What?
Agreeably, that is objectively false. It's not the same effect as a complete case ruling. I just think that the way that it was written in the motion to dismiss this makes it seem as if the judge is pretty much on the side of Ryan Kavanaugh in this case.
That is insanely stupid. Idiot. It has the same ruling as a complete case ruling?
Yeah, that's... Like the further you read this, the more it's like, what? This isn't accurate at all.
Holy shit. Klein did, in fact, knowingly spread... What happened? Knowingly spread false misleading statements with the intent to damage or harm Kavanaugh. The ramifications of Klein's action was amplified by the fact that Klein published the damaging statements to his large following on YouTube. He published false statements to millions. This is just Kav rage writing. Also, it's not written well. We know Ryan Kavanaugh's not very literate. He then encourages those...
Well, he may be literate. I think it's the alcohol that's the problem. I think when he's sober, he's probably...
Like, what the hell is that? Like, do you, like, Dan, for real, like, let's be for real. Do you think you're helping him right now? Now we're insinuating that he has an alcohol issue, that he's an alcoholic, that he was rage writing in an alcoholic stupor. Like, what the fuck? This is the problem, is that when they are dealing with these cases, like Ethan Klein has been dealing with this case against himself, H3 Productions, his companies and affiliates, because he's dealing with this, whilst he's dealing with this, they keep going further and further and further and literally like building up this case. Like there is a good chance that Ryan Kavanaugh can win. And here's that, in my humble opinion, can I just say, in my opinion, there is a good chance that Ryan Kavanaugh can win, because they can also attempt to settle before it goes to a court. But if I was Ryan Kavanaugh in this moment in time, like I wouldn't even let it go to court, bitch. No way. What's up? Hold on.
Probably perfect.
Do you think he shakes when he's sober?
Oh, yeah.
From alcohol withdrawal?
Too much wine, sorry.
He then encourages those people to spread the false and misleading statements. Okay, you better watch what you say, bud.
Sorry, that was my cousin. She wants to use my phone.
Because that's the one that you lost. You tried to sue me saying that I asked people to spread that shit, and you lost, and you had to pay my attorney's fees. Whoever's writing this.
You're a loser.
Whoever wrote this. I only ever ask people to write a fair and honest review of Triller the app. Do you understand that, bro? Whoever wrote this. Under tort laws that he
But what I will say is that when he was asking people to like write positive reviews about Triller the app, right, he was doing it in a way that like made it seem like it was in jest. So let's just deviate a little bit and go back to what it was that he said in Ryan Kavanaugh is a big fat loser
thing. He hopes that by watching Brad rail his wife, he'll feel something someday, but not yet. Yeah, it looks like they're holding him up.
Here we go. We have him insinuating that Bryce Hall is running a train on his wife.
Like Weekend at Bernie's type shit. So this was after they ran train on his wife, and he watched. That's why he's so happy.
Said as a statement of fact.
Oh man, he's such a weirdo. And we have more photos. Wait, we have more photos?
Yeah, I just saw this on Reddit.
Oh, a new one?
Looks like, yeah, just Bryce and Ryan sitting down together at dinner.
Quality time, my man. My man.
I feel bad for Bryce. He doesn't know he's eating with the Triller swindler right there.
I kind of wonder if I should hit up Bryce and be like, you know this guy's going to like rip you off or something, right? Oh, they're in Miami? Triller, my man, my boy. So anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm just buttering you guys up. Ryan wrote an op-ed on Yahoo Finance. Ryan.
Okay, hold on. I think it's a little bit earlier than that. Let's go a little bit earlier.
Yeah, Ryan's the chicken just pecking the leftovers. Cleaning up the floor and shit, you know what I'm saying? Now give me the whole farm sound. This is what sex sounds like in Ryan Kavanaugh's bedroom. Oh, no, the cow. Oh, shit, bro. He's into some weird old shit, boy. You know it.
This is the worst thing I've ever.
All right, anyway, first thing I want to analyze here is the feet work. Now, what
Dude, I can't even remember where this was, but let's just go back to the original Ethan Klein video, my dude. Hold on, that's me. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Okay, let's go.
He sued me for tortious interference and lost. Each and every time it was republished or stated further damage occurred. What are you talking about? You already lost that lawsuit. Oh, he goes, leading to potentially one of the most massive defamation damages cases ever.
Number one, baby. Number one podcast in the world.
This could possibly
This
could possibly become one of the most landmark cases of its type since the Hulk Hogan case. Hulk Hogan was awarded $140 million in damages. Wow. That's crazy. You already lost that lawsuit, though.
Do you know what's like literally insane?
Yeah, Kavanaugh, here comes the puff piece.
Hold on. Do you know what's like literally insane about this is that like he's reading through this article, right? He's skimming over all of the like very important parts that could just like make him, you know, have to at least be self-reflective and just like continuing on, harping on the old cases. This case that they're speaking about is specifically about the defamation, libel, and slander case. Nothing to do with any of the other cases.
Unfortunately, as Ryan Kavanaugh is a business person, one of the factors large institutions, banks, and companies ask is what's called reputational risk. Kavanaugh, whom has brokered over 2 billion deals. Okay, dude, time to stop living in the past, bro. You already bankrupted that shit. Let's move on, dude. Where's your movie studio now? Some of the largest entertainment transactions could suffer extreme, significant damages caused by Klein's toy podcast. Certain laws exist, blah, blah, blah. Notably for this lawsuit, the judge found the final ruling. Also, at the end, he starts talking about how apparently I'm a bully. It's awesome, dude. This is awesome. Talking about how I get strikes on YouTube. Oh, then he cites this website, which is totally not written by the same person. He's called The Ban of Ethan Klein. It's awesome, dude. Look at this fucking... Is this just like a WordPress preset? What is this?
Yeah, it seems like a very cheaply... if this is pure speculation, but I'm thinking Ryan had been hitting the sauce one evening and was doing his daily check-in.
Like, what is with the alcoholism joke? Like, is there something that's been put out there about him being an alcoholic? Because I'm like so lost right now. I'm literally listening to them like over and over talk about like he's hitting the sauce, he's a bit drunk. Like, is there something about that? Like, has there been an article written or something like that that I need to check out? Because I'm just like completely thrown by that one.
On does he look like Harvey Weinstein? He was like, I should do this too, and went on Fiverr or some shit. And you know, is probably, and you know, you read through it. There's a lot of like grammar mistakes that are very telling that this was an extremely.
It looks like a
thing.
scam website, bro.
Yeah.
Are you trying to hard sell me on Ban Ethan?
So you got to check out the latest signatures on the website.
Well, before we do that, I do want to emphasize that if you type Ryan Kavanaugh, because I think I get what he's trying to do. But if you scroll down, actually the second result here is, does Ryan Kavanaugh look like Harvey Weinstein? Now, if you type his name into Google, and that's important to do, search, and then come click this website, which is number 2. You'll find that he owes me almost $61,000. And spend some time brushing up on this. Just spend some time on the website, scrolling, reading. Maybe we have a game at the bottom. It'd be nice to participate in that, watch some videos.
Okay, once again, he is promoting the website further. Like, he just keeps digging himself a much bigger hole. Let's get past this point of the ban of Ethan Klein, because this part, all that he does in this section is essentially just talk about the fact that, like, the only people who've signed their signatures are, like, trolling him and stuff like that, which is further adding to the point that, like, Ethan Klein can easily mobilize his fans and his subscribers. And this is why, when it comes to, like, Trisha Paytas, and I'm sorry to bring her name into this, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it, right? When it comes to Trisha Paytas, there seems to be this, like, mobilization that's taken place that he just simply refuses to believe that his audience is capable of doing. But even in this case, it's abundantly clear that he can mobilize his audience, and he does frequently on so many different occasions. So let's just continue after this point. I think he closes off in a moment.
Defenses.
Yeah, if you mentioned that, this thing would be stacked with signatures. I don't know where the signatures go or for who they are, but they're there. Individuals and groups from all over the world may start campaigns, rally support, and collaborate to get Ethan banned from social media. This is nice. It's a worldwide movement. Although, cool, this is cool. I appreciate.
Be a fake person, and this is like an AI written article. Muckrack. Your new stand boost up their resume and online presence a little bit. I'm not saying it's not genuine, but it is interesting that
he's the author.
Same author. Yeah.
He's not a journalist, for example.
It seemed. I don't want to question his credibility necessarily.
Well, he's a freelance writer,
but he does seem like a total fucking hack loser who does puff pieces for money.
Why does it lie?
So essentially what they've said prior to this, because I had to skip ahead, essentially what they said prior to this is that the guy who ended up writing this post about Ethan Klein and Ryan Kavanaugh's case, that this guy is a PR reporter. So because of this, we shouldn't trust his word. And now they're going to go further to say that they don't even really think it's a real person.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, this is Tim. What's Muckrack?
I guess it's a website where it's for PR stuff, like Muckrack, your new standard in public relations software. Easily search for journalists, monitor news, build reports. So he has a profile on here, which kind of means that I don't know if he is even a real person. It might just be a fake person, and this is like an AI written article from a bunch of info that Ryan provided to this company.
That sounds like it'd be more expensive than just hiring some dude in India to write it.
Yeah,
which is what I think he did.
It could be that too. And either way, I'm a little suspicious of if Dave Thomas, the Wendy's guy, is actually this involved in.
Yo, I haven't had Wendy's in a minute though.
Okay, so then they start talking about Wendy's. This is about the time I clocked out. So if this whole situation over here continues, I missed it completely because that was the time that I clocked out because I started talking about Wendy's. So we have Julia in chat who says, to be clear, the article isn't fact, but the court documents are. So any of the sections within the article where they directly quote the court documents, those are the real deal. Those are the real deal. However, it's just so interesting to me that for an article that was about himself that he prefaced at the beginning of his show that he had not read at this point, he just skims over. And the only resource it is that they have to discuss and talk about is the resource where they are speaking directly about the previous allegations with the Triller situation and Ethan Klein, where it was copyright privacy and fair use and all of those shenanigans. So here we get into my little conspiracy theory. Okay, so as we can see from this article, let's just scroll up to the top real quick. Right? David Thompson, Tech Times on the 30th of January. So this article was out for a while, right? Then we also have to put into it that the court documents that were released publicly, those court documents came out on December 9th. So this information has been known by Ethan Klein and Ryan Kavanaugh for quite some time. Ryan Kavanaugh and Ethan Klein, neither of them have spoken about it until Nicholas Diorio made it public this evening. And he reposted the Tech Times article for other people to take a look at and read. And then shortly after that, Ethan Klein decides to go live. Now, here is my little conspiracy. So we all remember there was that situation with QT Cinderella, right? A lot of people were upset with my take with QT Cinderella. In the last live stream, I definitely said my apologies because I didn't do my due diligence when it came to that story. So I apologize once again. But what I will say, when it comes to that QT Cinderella situation, Ethan Klein basically made a public apology. And in his public apology, he directly references the fact that he has Tourette's and basically claims that his impulsivity is down to his Tourette's. And a part of me, especially knowing that this article came out on the 30th, this video by Ethan Klein came out on the 1st of February, that it may have been, in my opinion, conspiracy allegedly only, right, have been a way to prime his audience as to what his next step is going to be. Because when it comes to defamation, libel, and slander, it's a very, very difficult case to prove. But according to the court documents directly, not the article, the court documents, they presume that there are going to be damages that will need to be paid by Ethan Klein. The only way I could imagine that he would be able to get out of this situation is by saying that it was due to his Tourette's, that there was an issue. Again, my conspiracy, allegedly, that it was down to his Tourette's. It was down to his, tics. His impulsivity was steered by his, mental disposition, all of that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at this video briefly again, and then tell me what it is that you guys think, because I'm very interested to hear what you guys think, because it was just so interesting, just not only the timeline of events, but also when he brought this up, because even his own audience were questioning why he would bring up Tourette's as a reason for doing what he did that evening. So let's take a look.
I wanted to come here and discuss the situation with QT Cinderella. I didn't really have a good opportunity to discuss it on the podcast, and I did want to say something publicly about it. So forgive me for putting it on this channel. I'll probably also talk about it on Thursday and Friday, but I just want to kind of discuss it with you guys. So on Monday's episode, we were covering the news that one of these Twitch streamers got caught paying for a deepfake subscription for one of his and featuring some of his colleagues on Twitch. And we were covering that story, and then QT Cinderella put out a video, a very heartfelt, serious video about how deeply these kinds of things have affected her. And during that video, I made the really unfortunate and stupid decision to play this stupid soundbite song of this guy singing chestnuts over an open fire. Obviously, it was very...
So when I covered this story, originally when I covered the story, I'd only seen the clip and I hadn't seen the full version of the clip. And after seeing the full version of the clip, my stance on it has changed. When I first saw it, I thought it was a situation where Ethan Klein and his sound manager had posted the song, and it was a surprise to Ethan Klein. And it was an inappropriate thing to laugh at, but he laughed at it anyway. It turns out a little bit later in the stream, Ethan Klein basically absolves his sound manager of that and says that he did message him directly on Discord and ask him to play that song. Again, this is very important information because when Ethan Klein brings up his Tourette's, I feel like there is a difference between an impulse activity, an impulse shout out, an impulse anything versus a premeditated situation. When you are writing a message directly on Discord, I don't think that that is an impulse in the same way that it is a premeditated action that you chose. Two completely different things. But let's take a look.
The problem was then I started laughing while her heartfelt, really serious apology was going on. And clearly, you can imagine that the dichotomy of those two things was not good. It was not good because, one, I actually really respect Cutie. I think she's a really talented and great creator. I think that the pain she's experiencing is 100% valid. And that's the part that kind of sucks for me the most, is that someone who I actually really want to support may have felt worse on an already difficult situation because of my careless and very, very inappropriate and gross and stupid behavior, right? And it's not the first time I've done it. That's what's weird. Like, I don't know why. Like, obviously there's something a little bit off about me, right? Because I always find myself in these situations where I am doing and saying impulsive things that I regret, right? And oftentimes I would even go so far as to say that doesn't really represent how I feel. I mean, obviously I respect and take her very seriously.
Say what you're going to say quickly. Quickly, Ethan. Quickly.
I just, was really dumb and rude and careless in that moment. But yeah, it's something that happens a lot, as some of you guys probably know who follow me or are aware of me. And yeah, I don't know why. I've tried to be mindful. I think I've made progress in some areas and in some areas not. I've tried to be mindful of these of preventing these kinds of things from not happening. Obviously, the fact that I'm doing a live show makes everything like if it was recorded, I would obviously erase it, right? That'd be obvious. And if I could take it back, I would. But I can't do that, obviously, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I do these things. And it's quite unfortunate. And I understand a lot of people were offended or thought it was tasteless, and I totally get that, And most of all, though, I apologized. After it happened, I immediately went to Twitter and apologized to Cutie. She doesn't have to accept my apology. I don't know if she accepts my apology. But I did apologize to her immediately as the show ended. And I also apologized to Ludwig, even though it didn't, you know what I mean? I felt like apologizing to both of them because I respect them both, you know what I mean? And I feel bad that I look like such a...
It had the potential to ruin your bag. Continue.
Psycho. A mean-spirited psycho is what I looked like. A lot of people are trying to give me a lot of people, my wife included, was saying, is this a Tourette's thing? I have Tourette's syndrome. And
Ethan Klein, be for real. Be the fuck for real, dude. Be the fuck for real. A premeditated thing that you chose to do alongside your sound manager is not Tourette's. I cannot express that enough. There is impulsivity activities that take place with Tourette's, but what you did by writing, hey, should you post that chestnuts on that is premeditated. You knew what the fuck you were doing. And to claim ignorance in that way is mad to me. Mad. Absolutely mad to me.
Don't think it is, right? Like, that feels like a cop-out. But I'm trying to understand, why am I like this? And like, it's just kind of nuts how I keep doing these things. And I keep doing these horrible things, right? Saying these horrible things. I did not know this, but one of these symptoms of Tourette's, here, I'll show you this. I was like, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. People say, maybe it's your Tourette's. And I say, I've always been like, that's a cop-out. There's no way. I'm just crazy. I don't even know how to explain it. But then, so I said, okay, with Tourette's, I've always kind of like buried my head in the sand. I know I have it, but since I was a kid, the more I thought about it, the worse it was. So my strategy of dealing with it was always kind of just to like forget that I have it, or try not to think about it, try not to have a daily presence in my life, to try to feel like just normal as possible. And for the most part, I do find that strategy worked. But I look up, and one of the top results for symptoms of behavior is compulsive behavior, impulsivity, you know what I mean? Lack of restraint. And these are some of the top things that are being listed. So I think it's a bit of a cop-out. I think I have control over these things. I feel I do. But I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with it. I don't know. Because I'm not really even sure how to describe it. And obviously, that doesn't absolve me of any blame, right? Like, I feel it's a cop-out. But maybe, I don't know how to describe it. I don't even know how to explain it. But I'm very sorry to Cutie. And
So, my little conspiracy is, why the fuck did he bring this up? He could have quite simply have just said an apology video, I'm sorry, I fucked up, I was trying to be funny, but it was an inappropriate time to be funny. And I realize that now in hindsight, I, shouldn't have made that joke. I fucked up, and I apologize to Cutie, I apologize to Ludwig. I did what I could. I hope these guys will accept my apology and keep it pushing. Everyone's done something fucked up in the past. We all have. I have. There is nobody here who is above reproach, right? There is nobody here, even in this chat this evening, who has never done anything bad, who has never said anything mean, who has never done this, that, and the third. We've all fucked up. So I feel like his audience would have been able to move past it quite easily. But it's just so interesting. Like, I cannot explain to you guys how interesting the day after this article comes out that he's now blaming a lot of his impulsivity on the fact that he is, you know, a person who has Tourette's. And here's the other thing, right? Ryan Kavanaugh had stated in the legal documents, and I will say I have read the legal documents, right? But Ryan Kavanaugh stated in his legal documents that there was a photograph of Ryan Kavanaugh next to another photograph of Ryan Kavanaugh's article about him relating to the Ponzi scheme that was, you know, alleged to have happened with Ryan Kavanaugh in at least 30 different videos. That, again, in order to make that, you know, prop to go in the back of your videos and all of that malarkey is premeditated. That's not something that is, you know, impulsive, just something that just happened, a moment of, you know, lack of restraint. That's something that you premeditated, that you set up before you did your live streams and continue to do for several weeks. So I find it very interesting, and I genuinely wonder how it is that Ethan Klein is going to be able to get out of this situation, because I don't think it looks good for Ethan Klein. So whilst he is making a joke out of the fact that he's lost this legal battle, and the fact of the matter is that the legal battle is still commencing, it's still ongoing, but I find it very difficult. I don't see a way that Ethan Klein will be able to say that what he has done has not been in malice, because you can say whatever you want, really, but if you don't intend malice behind it, then it's a completely different situation. But if they can prove malicious intent, he's absolutely screwed. And I just don't see a way that he's going to be able to prove malicious intent. And again, they can settle outside of court. But even if that was to take place, I don't really see Ryan Kavanaugh not taking this to the full extent of the law, and for this to go to a jury of his peers. So this is a very interesting story, a very, very interesting case. And when it comes to Ethan Klein, like I said in the beginning, I don't fuck with him. I don't like him. I just don't like him as an individual. I don't like him as a human being. I think that he's disingenuous. He's very fucking ego driven. It's all about the ego. It's all about how he presents to the world. And if he doesn't come out on top, he will run to do these apologies. So as far as I'm concerned, like, this Ethan Klein situation is a dud, is a complete dud to me, but I am interested to see how this takes off. Apparently this case could be going on for the next year and a half. I'm really interested to see what Emily D. Baker has to say on all of this, but that has just been my thoughts. Right, before I disappear, any guys who have any questions, anything like that you guys want to ask me before I disappear, and I will answer them. Give me a few seconds because the chat is running a little bit slow, but any questions you guys have, you guys can ask me, whether it's related to this story or otherwise, and I'm happy to answer them for you. I'm just going to go and read through some of the comments. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream, bitches. We have your dad is Izzy, who says, if I fall over and knock someone down with me because of my disability, I still apologize, because yes, my disability was an explanation, but it's not me excusing the fact that I hurt someone. It's still my fault. That's very, very good. And as far as I'm concerned, like, even when it comes to the judicial system and the law surrounding these things, like, regardless of what mental health issues you have, what, physical issues it is that you may have, regardless of what the situation is, you still get prosecuted. There's very few times that, like, the full extent of the law isn't pressed on an individual. Does it mean that where they go might be different? Say if it's a person who has, like, schizophrenia or something like that, does it mean that where they go as a danger to themselves and society is different? Yes, but still the law continues as the law, because the rules apply to everyone, regardless of, anything that could be seen as a reason behind why. The law still continues as the law. It just is what it is. Julia says he's so malicious but loves to play the poor victim. Cat Boone chat says preach bitch. We have Shakura who says there's a time to be edgy and there's a time to shut your pie hole, and Ethan doesn't seem to be able to differentiate. 100%. We got Elaine who says I kind of saw it as him taking out any excuse that he could for his disgusting behavior. Okay, interesting. In relation to the QT situation, I didn't think of it beyond that until now. It's definitely food for thought. Elaine continues. She says, I don't think that could be used for any type of medical defense since he has clearly gone so out of his way to achieve harassment against Cav. Goon says, you are so wrong. They very rarely is in the full extent of the law is ever pressed on. I guess that's like, I see what you mean, because there are situations, especially that we've seen that have been online and stuff like that to do with the world, that, you know, the full extent of the law hasn't been pressed, but the law is still the law. There's still going to be something that happens to somebody. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I very much hope and have that hope in society that we're at least trying. You know what I mean? Skylar says he does love to show himself into situations that don't concern him and get his 2 cents in before the story, before the attention is gone. We got Emma Lou, thank you so much for being subscribed. They said, I think he's looking for any out that he can find and got lazy in his search. Yeah, so I think we're going to end the stream there. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. I just wanted to make sure that the entire article in its entirety was read out as a TLDR for you guys, just so that we know the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs, because when you are listening to somebody like Ethan Klein, sometimes the most important parts can be skimmed. With that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is you're doing. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. It's been Paige. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot to Woody when I spray. Daddy hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. Brother gonna rise, no hesitation. Put it on my time, being hella patient. Spitting these rhymes in hella basements. Play major stages, still pay fun. Ain't made many wages, still I can't run. I'm a slave to the cadence, still ain't done. Everything to the patrons, till the day's won. But I'm not finished, I know I got some critics, I know they're really cynics, but God, I got no limits. I want a house of Venice, even if I don't get it, then I pray these lyrics, elevate your spirit. And if I don't live it, after years and minutes of avoiding gimmicks, I'm pouring out my heart, that I know my rhythms didn't reach the millions, but I praise my Lord that I could be a part. I ain't did this for no trophies, I ain't did this for no list, I did it for the kid who's contemplating, taking place to risk it, man, I pray that you resist